program, the BKFC president, Dave Feldman. Dave, how are you?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
We're doing great. I hope you're doing good. I want to start with, I read that story in the Rolling Stone, and holy cannoli.
Yeah, man. It was a great story, huh?
Yeah, I honestly, I think it's a movie. It's not just a story. I think that needs to be a movie. Somebody that did that and what you've gone through. And, we know some of the things you've gone through, on and off and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, that story was, A, quite incredible, and B, why did it take so long for that to come out? And why didn't you tell me some of that stuff?
No, it was just, I guess it was the right time. It was, people really, really close to me. My like best friends and stuff like that knew what went on, and then as I know you mentioned before, or in that story that I, was going through some therapy and stuff like that, and as growing up in a house that I grew up in with a bunch of fighters, convicted murderers, like everything that you've ever seen, like telling somebody you need therapy is like you're the biggest, P in the world, and you can't talk about that. And when I was able to actually start talking to people and going through all the shit that happened to me and being able to unveil a lot of things, then it became a lot more comfortable for me to talk about stuff that happened in my childhood.
I got you, and it is important, and I know Matt and I have talked about it, and we talked about, a lot of people don't like Patty the Batty, but when he came out and he talked about his friend's suicide and got emotional and stuff, and we need that, people need to hear these stories because they're going through it too, and they're like you just said you were, and they don't want to say and they don't want to talk, but hearing your story hopefully will help a lot of people, and hopefully it helped you as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, I had so many people, even at the post-fight press conference this past weekend, that were like, bro, man, you really helped me because I know I need to do this, or I know I need to do that. And I felt like, I was a little bitch and I couldn't do it. And, you brought it out. I said, look, man, I'm not saying just, that it's the best thing in the world. I'm saying for me, it completely changed my life because I think everything would have blew up in front of me. So it completely changed my life being able to get that shit that was dug down deep off my chest and being able to talk about it. And look, as you saw some of it, I've been through a lot of shit in my life, and nobody knew it. And that's why I say, like, people want to talk about
Stuff.
people and talk bad about people, but they don't understand, like, everybody's got a story, and they don't know what someone's been through in their life, and they just talk about them and say, negative things about them. But look, to really overcome a lot of the things that I've overcome and be able to build this thing to what it is today, I think it's pretty incredible.
No, absolutely, and I'm only going to say this just to tick off Matt. That's what us Philadelphians do, man. That's the things that we do. All right,
100%.
yeah, 100%. All right, let's go back to last Saturday. Knuckle Mania again. Nothing big came out of it. I understand that. The fights, and no announcements. You couldn't have an announcement or two last week? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm sorry, say that again.
No, I was just, I was trying to be funny, saying nothing really came out of last Saturday, no announcements. But let's start with that. Probably the biggest announcement, and you continue to have big announcements. This was pretty big about Conor McGregor.
Yeah, I think it absolutely was. I think he's going to be a very voiced partner. I think he's going to have a lot of stuff to say and a lot of stuff to do. And look, biggest name in combat sports. Love him, hate him, whatever you want to say about him. Anything he does at all, people talk about, right? And if they're talking about it, then they're going to watch it. So he's one of them guys that was afraid to get on board. I mean, a guy that I was like, man, I can't wait to talk to this guy. I like to talk to this guy. I like to talk to this guy. Never talking to him, and then all of a sudden he won't stop calling me because he's like, listen, well, let's blow this up, mate, let's blow this up. So we have a lot of communication, and we're working on a lot of really, really big things. And I think if we get a couple things done in the next day or two, I'll be out there with him next week.
Very cool. So now I see why, you and I used to talk a lot, so Conor took my place on your phone, right?
It's crazy, man. Randy, you couldn't even imagine how many, and this isn't like me saying, oh, I'm getting all these calls. I get so many calls in the day now that I don't even remember who called me, what day it was, and then they get mad and I didn't call them back. And I'm like, bro, I promise you, I didn't even see it or I forgot. It's crazy right now, but look, we're building something special, and we're built for this, and we're gonna keep climbing through everything. And I think that this just added a little bit of rocket fuel to the ship.
No, absolutely. And, does Connor have responsibilities yet, or is that something that the two of you are going to talk about?
I mean, he has a few things that he has to do, and he's going to do, and he's already talking about it. But as far as the other things, it's things that we're going to discuss. Obviously, he has a fighting career and a lot of other things on his plate. But, we're working towards some things that are really going to move the needle. And I think, once he gets his mind into this thing and he's able to really understand and comprehend everything that we're doing, I think that it's going to go to the next level.
So Dave, I've been in combat sports for 10 years or so on this side of it. I know, pay-per-views is a big revenue stream, so sometimes you'll have a small venue, but it was really for the pay-per-view audience. Talk about the experience of bringing the BKFC all the way to the left coast, the first time in California, and having 3 levels of the Peacock Center sold out. I heard there was 1,000 people that showed up that were turned away at the door just because it was over capacity. What does that feel like? I mean, did you get a chance to actually enjoy the experience? Because from this side of it, it was spectacular knowing where you've come from.
I kind of let it soak in a little bit. I stayed an extra day there with my wife. We actually toured Beverly Hills and Hollywood, and the tour driver was like, "What do you do?" And I told him, and he's like, "Oh, I know who you are." I'm like, "Oh, awesome." And then he just mocked me the whole time. He's like, "You can afford that house?"
Honestly, Dave, let me jump in. I was going to say, and be the smart, butt that I am, I was going to say, oh, you were looking for property. I get it.
Yeah, it was funny. So anyway, we got the tour all over the place, and I let it soak in there. And then, it took a couple days because it was really it was a milestone moment for us. I mean, we accomplished so much. We went through so much. We should have quit or we should have folded 20 different times, and we didn't. And here we are, 6 years later, the biggest announcement we've ever made, and I think on a trajectory to the fucking moon. Oh, sorry.
He said trucking. He said trucking.
Truck and moon.
That's the Philadelphian in us. We're always trucking. We're always moving along. Let's talk about a couple of the fighters Saturday night. We'll start about one of the biggest names, equal to a Conor McGregor, Mike Perry. And not only was he very successful, but again, you're getting calls, you're getting emails of people who want to join BKFC, not as an investor, but